And to bring us home today, we have Enlitic, who plan to list on the ASX on the 18th of December. Enlitic utilises artificial intelligence to offer data management solutions, primarily in the medical imaging sector. We welcome today Enlitic Executive Director and CEO, Michael Sistenich. Michael, welcome, and please take it away.
Thank you for having me today, Manny. Thank you, everybody, for your time. I'd like to step through a couple of slides for a brief introduction to what we do at Enlitic. I would encourage you also to refer to the disclaimers and our replacement prospectus with the ASX. What we do at Enlitic is we are a technology company that utilizes AI tools in order to improve data, which is oftentimes messy, missing information, or in fact incorrect. Through doing this, what we intend to do is help the healthcare system as a whole to deliver on three of the most important aspects of what health tech is supposed to do. We are trying to treat more patients, we're trying to treat them with a better clinical outcome, and we're trying to do that for a lower cost. And that is really what our mission is. We are focused entirely about the data, and by effectively, for want of a better word, cleaning up the data, making it more reliable and making it more interactable for the healthcare system, for patients, for physicians, for pharmaceutical companies, what we can do is generate efficiencies for our clients and improve the profitability and workflows that they deal with. How do we go about doing this? Our product suite that exists in the market today is Endex and Encog. And Endex is really our core engine on which our technology is built. Endex, as we call it, standardizes, the word we use, essentially cleans and structures imaging data, initially such as MRI scans, CT scans, and X-rays, and provides a framework for which you can actually query, interact with it, and derive value in different ways. Our remaining suite of products that are in development today and coming through essentially seek to then derive value in different ways from that core data set that's now been created. For example, I will go on to the next slide. Endex receives information in the forms of these X-rays, CTs, and MRIs, and we use natural language processing in order to extract the information out of the words or the metadata that are in these packages, and we use computer vision to extract the information that is contained within the pictures themselves, the pixels, such as your X-rays, CTs, and MRIs. Once we have this information, we determine what is most likely to be true, and then we repopulate these files essentially in a structured way. To give you an example of what that means, we allow a physician, a radiologist, to improve the way he's working and gain efficiency and save time through, for example, what's called hanging protocols. If any of you have ever watched House or have been to a physician in the old days to see your X-rays, a nurse would come in and hang up some X-rays on a white light box. That is effectively a hanging protocol. The modern version of that is 6 screens or 8 screens that a radiologist sits in front of. And when he opens up a file about a patient, what he would ideally like to happen is that the right information goes to the right place on his screens so that he can actually work and read and interpret those studies. The unfortunate reality is when data is messy, when it is incorrect, when it has mixed language, you cannot create a rules-based system to put the right information in the right place. And so there is an administrative burden on the radiologist where he wastes, on average, 15 to 90 seconds on every study. Endex, by standardizing and creating a standard data set and structure and a reliable data set, you can now interact with that data to put the right information in the right place. That is one aspect of the value that can be derived from our technology and what it is that we do. On this particular slide, you can see that our technology potentially impacts multiple parts of the radiology workflow. Give you a second example in coding and billing. Most systems, health systems in the developed world, essentially reimburse activities that have been done through codes, essentially a code for what has been done or what has been found. And so, for example, if you are using contrast in a CT scan, a contrast is essentially a chemical dye that you inject into a patient to allow you to see more out of those scans. That is worth additional reimbursement. And it is often missed 5 to 30% of the time. So effectively, what we allow a system to do is to know for certain when there is or is not contrast media within scans and allow them to then seek additional revenue and reimbursement. So these are some of the examples of how our core technology around Index creates value and allows value to be extracted by the various parts of the health system. This is a graphical or pictorial example of how we go about doing that. Information that comes in, and these packages of informations are called DICOMs, and essentially come in from different places. Our technology Index essentially takes that information and creates a more reliable and structured repository of that information, from which we can then now do a lot of different things, as you can see down the right-hand side of this slide. Our products and our business model are depicted here, and these are particularly important. Index is obviously our core module. NCOG is our second module that is in market at the moment. And what that does is it de-identifies patient health information out of these data sets. What does that mean? Information about patients, their personal information, is private and highly regulated. And so what you need to do is create a trustworthy set of data if you want to be moving this data around that does not contain that sensitive information. There are a number of technologies available today that do that. What sets NCOG apart is that it sits within the same framework as our other tools and features. And what it allows a health system to do is reliably understand and have an auditable trail of how has this information been de-identified, who did it, when was it done, who signed off on it, where was this information sent. And that creates a framework of trust and also allows us, and what we also are able to do with NCOG is de-identify in large numbers rather than single studies or patient studies at a time. We can do multiple patient studies at the same time. And what that creates is a structured, reliable data set that is now also de-identified. And by doing that, we have the ability now to move that information around and use it within different parts of the health system and the healthcare ecosystem. Our business model is an annual recurring revenue model. So these tend to be 3 to 5 year subscriptions from our clients. And that over that period of time, the client will utilize our technology. We will provide additional features and use cases over that period of time, such as what you see on the right-hand side. And then essentially at the end of that fixed period, the client will renew those contracts going forward. What does that mean from our commercial activities today? As of today, we have 8 clients that are signed up across a spectrum of different types of clients. We have radiology reading groups based out of Europe, including our first client, TMC, who's one of the largest radiology reading groups in Europe. We have health systems in the US, and we also have a number of clients in Japan through our partner, Marubeni, who has an exclusive distribution right for our technologies in Japan. This slide shows the pipeline that we have created at Enlitic over the past 24 months. Technology and all aspects of artificial intelligence or health tech have initially long sales cycles. Our technology is a first-in-class technology, and it takes a period of time to build those relationships and to build that trust. So the maturity of what you see here is actually what leads to future sales and future clients. Where we focus as Enlitic is what we see as the opportunities at the bottom of the left-hand side. And essentially, this is a snapshot of what we have in our pipeline. This is not a funnel. So those opportunities that you see on the left that then refer to the right-hand side, the total approximately 96.7 million US dollars of total contract value, are those that are most mature and have progressed most through that engagement over the past 12, 18, 24 months. Essentially, these are the clients that have indicated interest in our technology, have often run proof of concepts already, and it is where we expect clients to convert initially out of that pot. Our strategy over the coming 24 months is going to be to convert as many of these opportunities into paying clients as possible. And you've started to see that trajectory come through. We started 2023 with one client. And as I mentioned before, we now have 8, and we intend to continue to convert these opportunities in this pipeline that we have built. If we look forward, where are our growth strategies? What are the levers and drivers to grow our business? As I mentioned initially, new customers is what's going to drive, and that's conversion of that pipeline. But then it is also increased volumes from some of those customers as they expand through larger parts of their organizations. Our new solutions, such as Encode and Insight, as we showed in our product roadmap, and then ultimately, with the handling and the structuring of the data, the intent is to enter revenue sharing opportunities with our clients as we help them to be able to structure their data in such a way that they can be transacted to companies who consume that data. For example, pharmaceutical companies often need information in order to inform their drug development process. And these packages of information that are put together can often be extremely valuable. And that is essentially, those are some of the drivers that you can see that will be driving our business going forward. In summary, we are an AI business that seeks to work about improving the data within the healthcare system, initially in imaging. We are looking to grow our customer base and convert that pipeline that has been built. We have partnered with some of the best organizations within the healthcare ecosystem, many of which have already been announced. And our management team and board have more than 20 years of experience each. And in fact, our management team have a number of individuals who have often been at the forefront of bringing new technologies to healthcare, and we're particularly excited with what we can be bringing to the healthcare ecosystem with our technologies at Enlitic.
Michael, thank you for that. That's a fascinating area you're in there. We do have a number of questions for you just to finish up today. We'll start with the first one's around total addressable market. If you could give us a sense for what potentially could be the size of this market.
If we focus initially on Index and essentially that core initial module, we think about the market in 2 ways. And essentially the low-hanging fruit for us are the pure radiology businesses, radiology reading groups, teleradiology groups, essentially those that handle almost solely only imaging data. And then there's a larger part, which are global health systems. Combined between the two of them, we estimate that the total serviceable market for us would be around $3.7 billion.
Great, thank you. That's it's a considerable market, no doubt about that. And the next question is actually around geography. You mentioned obviously the US, you mentioned Europe, Japan. Are you relatively agnostic across the geographies, or is there a geography, a particular area that you are particularly focused on? Is it as simple as say the US is the key, the others will follow? Do you have a preference?
We obviously are focused on the largest opportunities and where we get the biggest bang for our buck. In terms of our products, we have regulatory approvals in the US, in Europe, UK, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan. Where we have a sales team, direct sales team, we are focused on our activities in Europe and the US and in Australia as well. And that's where our direct sales team exercises most of its activities. In geographies where we do not intend to be direct, such as Japan and some Asian markets, our partner Marubeni and others that we are partnering with will lead the charge in those geographies.
Okay, great, thank you. And just moving on to, you did mention Enlitic's, AI or its technical offering is, I think you said, best in class or first in class. What does the competitive environment look like a little bit? Do you have any obvious competitors out there? How does that look, that environment?
Yeah, this is a question we're often asked, is like if you are, if you're asked to bid on a particular contract, who do you come up against? And the reality is we're not asked to bid because this technology is genuinely first in class. The challenge around the messiness and the difficulty of how to handle healthcare data, especially imaging data, has been really long-standing. And this solution that we brought to market doesn't have a direct competitor as such today. The best way to explain that is, the issue around the data is longstanding. So the best solution that has been brought to market so far is essentially health systems and radiology groups internally hiring groups of people to manually fix the data. Often these are rooms with multiple people in. You can understand that that's going to be inefficient and particularly expensive. And essentially what our technology does is it automates that, utilizing all the AI modules that we brought together to bear.
Okay, great. And just one more. How much do you continue to not necessarily invest, but perhaps work on improving the technology? Is there a lot of improvement still to come? And, will that assist you in staying ahead of the curve?
Absolutely. As with everything in healthcare and technology, you have to continue to evolve. And what we have with Endex is an engine that is very unique. And it does something that, as we've just said, has no real direct competitor. Our intent going forward is obviously to continue to improve that engine, to be able to do more, and also to develop additional use cases and features such as the hanging protocols that we talked about and the detection of contrast or not. All of these additional features that derive value for the clients who are paying us for our technology. And that's really where a great deal of our forward-looking development activities will be focused.
Michael, thank you for your time today, and have a great weekend, and we hope to see you back soon.
It's brilliant. Thank you very much for having me, Manny.